Hello, ladies. Hope you are doing well. I am going to do the demo I promised you of the lowercase and uppercase alphabet. So, let's see if I think that's as close as I can get in. I think so. Okay. So, as I was showing you when we were all together, you have your basic strokes, and the primary idea is that you're trying to learn how to control the brush. So you get your thick stroke, your thin stroke, and then you get your graduated stroke from thick to thin or from thin to thick. And then you also have your roller coaster, which helps you really train your hand to make those changes from thick to thin. That's something that just you have to practice to get more comfortable with it. And as if you remember, right about the midpoint is when you're starting to think about the change that you're going to need to make. So if I'm going up, I'm already thinking, oh, when I get up to the top, I'm going to have to turn. And then I'm thinking here, oh, I better start pulling up on that brush. And I'm starting to think, oh, I'm going to have to put pressure on again. So that's kind of the thought process that goes on when you're making that. We also just did some of the spirals. See, I'm really going slow because I'm trying to focus on the thin as I go up and the thick as I go down. Also trying to look at the spacing. And I want to try to keep the space in between the spirals kind of similar because again, that's just training your eye and training your hand to control the brush. And one of the things that those spirals also help us to do is in the letters like A. I think I'll do it on here actually. I'll show you kind of the letters that have that combination of the roller coaster because we have to go from thick to thin. And it also is kind of having that oval spiral shape. So the first one is the letter A, lowercase letter A. Pushing down, and now I remember I've got to think about coming up, and I come up, and I can stop right there, and then plant my brush and come down, and that's a little bit of the carrot because I'm going thick and then thin. Again, kind of going back to the roller coaster where I have to come back up. So it seems like it's a lot to think about, but when you practice, that's what you want to do. You want to think about those things so that when you're actually trying to letter, you have the memory and the muscle. You also have so like the O. Same kind of thing as the A. We're going thick, and then we've got to pull up on that brush and go thin. And sometimes people also make an O like this. Up, and they come back here to that stroke. Around. Now, I think you get more of that, where you get the thicker shading on this side versus this one. I didn't do the best there. That again. There we go, that's better. So, anything that has that kind of loop, I'm gonna do that now. So I'm kind of going out of order, but I just want to show you I'll do it like this. In the thick to thin, now I've got to pull up and go thin, stopping, a plant brush, pull down, I'm going thick to thin again. I give a little bit of a flick there. Not a flick really, it's just a kind of a movement from thick to very thin. And that's one kind of cue. And then the other cue is similar to the A and the G, come around, up, stop there. Plant, pull this down, I'm going thick to round. P so has that there. Except I'm first going to plant, and I did a little bit of thick, thinner, and then thick. And you can do all kinds of things, but that's just kind of the combination that I've done. You can do it many different ways. And I'm starting into the line so that this comes out smooth, pushing down, coming a little bit thick there. I would have wanted it a little thinner, so you know, I do it perfectly. Let's go to the G. You can see very similar to the A. And it's kind of hard to show you, but I am actually starting a little bit more on the tip. I'm starting like, it's the G, starting right there. And I'm a little bit up on the tip because I'm doing this kind of stroke. It's coming around. I realize it's a little bit hard for me to show you, but up, and then we come in here, pull. So there's several different things that you can do, and believe me, lots of people do it many different ways. So you can also plant here and pull this over. Okay, so you see that's thicker to thin versus trying to make this rounded. I'm going to have to point that out. Can't. My hand's covering it, sorry. But you can see the difference in how that's rounded and this is thick to thin. So those are just two options. And same kind of thing over here. I'm going to do the rounded. So I'm actually starting, look at where I'm starting, in the center on the right-hand side. I'm actually starting that over there, pushing and then pushing down. So I'm pushing but making the stroke go up, and I'm pushing down over here. That there. So let's sort of the loopy. Got the C, which is just half of a circle, and we can do this two ways too. So the first way I'm going to do is it's in the one stroke. I'm going to start there, showing you. I'm pushing up, and then I'm going thin, and then I'm pushing down to go thick and coming back up thin. Okay, that's one stroke. Or I can start, it's going to point out where I'm starting there, but I'm starting over that line, pushing, pulling up. So you see how I've started just a little bit over that line. And now I'll come back in again over on the other side of that line. Little, it'll flicker down. And we also have, let's do the E. And so you can go, this is the whole stroke, one stroke, where I'm starting here, going up very lightly. Then as I come around, I push down and get the thickness, come back thin again, or lots of options. You can, again, I'm gonna show you the line. Start over the line. Just over, push down, come up. And now I'm gonna go back in and come around. And typically that's what that does. It gives you a thicker line there. Typically it's just kind of like how the brush moves. So this one gives you a little bit of a thinner line. And, you know, different strokes for different folks. So, got it. Okay, now let's do the ascenders. So, B. So B, we're doing our basic stroke, plant and down, just like that. Now I'm coming back into the stroke, and I'm all the way at the bottom here. Coming up out of that stroke, around and push that back. Just go up on the tip, come around the corner. And then the more scripty B, start here, very light on the tip, around and push, and come up again, going light. Okay. Let's do the D's over here. So we have, again, more of a simplified D, starting here and coming out, pushing up, plant, push down, scriptier. This is going. And you can even stop there if you feel like you need to, because that's going to be covered up. So around and push back up. And there's that, the movement in the hand, I'm going to try to show you, is really subtle. It's like you're pushing and you're lifting. And that just comes with time to get that kind of control in your hand. F, so we can do an F like this. So we've just kind of started the curve up here, and then we come back into the curve, around and push down and lift up. Get a nice little curve there. Just a slight line coming over. You never want to have a thick line crossing a thick line. So you, at any intersection, you always want it to be thin over thick. And the second F is similar, but I'm going to just do it with starting at the, with one stroke starting here, coming around, down. And this one also has a longer line. So little variations can be fun, especially if you're doing a lot of copy. It's always nice to have some variations in your letters. And then if you look at the script, so again, we're going thin, going up, no very light pressure. I call it whispering on the page because you're really just trying to get the brush to just barely touch the page. And then apply that pressure, and that's not perfect. So see how we go back in and up if we want. And then again, lift up, bring it up. F, another ascender. I called it a descender before. That okay, descenders go down, ascenders go up. Just in case, because I'm doing this very late on night. Okay, so we're going to do the H. Very basic stroke. And here's that roller coaster. Up, thin, and around and down. And now we'll do it with the loop. Up, up. A. A as well has straight. And again, you can do this thicker to thin. You can do thick and then thin and then thick. I'm just trying to do basic for you. Those are the things that you can play around with. Now, I'm turning my page because the K requires that. If you try to do it this way, it doesn't always turn out. So we're going to do A with sorry if I can't get a better camera angle. Again, at any point you can stop, and we're turning the page. Okay. I'm just kind of extending it lower just to show you that that's an option. You can extend it beyond baseline. And the L, have our first L. And there. Do our straight L. And now we'll do our descenders. So we have G. Oh, I did the G before. Okay, that wasn't supposed to be that point, but I guess I did do it. Go to the J. Plant that brush, pull and lift, and then you can flick it up or you can start here, thick, slow, active. You always want to be careful on that. It's a slow movement because you will otherwise go too low, get too thick. So you got to be careful. Here's the loopy J. Plant, pull, up, E, plant, push down. When I'm a little bit thinner to thicker. Sometimes I like to do it that way. Around and push down. a loopy, make the connector stroke, and then stop, plant, down, and down. And all kinds of choices here. I'm just doing a simple line like that. And that's a little bit thick. I would probably want to do it thinner, but it's kind of an interesting thing. Like I was telling you before, sometimes you find interesting options when you do something you weren't intending to do. Let's go to the Y. Oh, I just got still see ink on that. So your basic Y, push down, up. So you've got kind of an upside down roller coaster, and push down, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. And now I'm going to flick it up. And sometimes you have to go back in and go, oh, let's clean that little transition up. Oh. And then the loopy Y, pushing down, up, up. Let's go to the descender Z, up, push down. Did there like a roller coaster sideways. Up. And we'll go ahead and do our other option for the Z. So we just make a little mark there to start. Come into that mark, come out of it. See, I just made a little subtle movement to the right. Plant the brush, push down on a diagonal. Come back in. So we're going from thin to thick. It's a nice little kind of eyebrow, eyelash. Kind of reminds me of like if eye was closed and you had eyelashes. Okay, so let's see to do eye. So your eye is thick. There. You're just planting, pushing up, inline upstroke, plant, click, and M and N. And this is the true roller coaster because we're planting, pushing down. So we got our basic stroke. Then we're coming up and around, up, around. The only difference is that we, instead of spacing that out, we just kept it really tight. Same thing with the N. Push basic stroke, around, up. So let's see, we have A, B, D, H, R. Two different kinds of R's. So the first one, there. Again, plant. So you see, I hope you're seeing the basic strokes in here, because that's where I say every time that I am to letter, I go back to the basic strokes, because that's what these are, just combinations of those and some little fun little strokes. So this one was a basic straight down, come up like you would on a roller coaster, and then a little thick to thin. And then the script-DR, very thin going up, come around, and that's when you start to pressure, but then you relieve it a little bit and then put pressure. R is probably one of my favorite letters. I like that little loop thing. Again, like if I see, that smoothing out there, I just go in and do it. Okay, the S, this particular S, as we discussed, gets a little funky, but you know what it is. Give a little dash there. Come in. Now I am a little bit more perpendicular only because I'm trying to get that tip and then push down. And immediately I'm pulling up and then push down. I can, that little tail says I like better. Push. And lots of things to do here too. We this come in and that's fun. Oh, I had forgotten the T, our A sender. So here's a T. Basic, it's like the basic L. And then we just do spark. So we've got, let's say UVW. It's doing, let's come upside down N. It's two different. And I'm going to show you something else. On this V, you'll see that it kind of has this little edge to it. Kind of comes out a little bit on the left. The way that you do that is you just plant, but not all the way, and then pull it over, and then push down. That gives you that little edge there. And then you can come from this way. Or you can do it in one stroke. Let's go up and then push down, come up again. So two different ways you can do it. The V, again, we're coming over first and then down, up, that little circle. And we got W. So I'm putting that edge on there. Edge, sorry, push down, up. Again, if I wanted to, I could also stop and come into that stroke. Smooth. And then the second kind of W, it's like the starting the. And I hope you also notice the speed that I'm working at. So it's not really fast. Everything's pretty deliberate. And one of the things, okay, for the X, again, pause, X, come down and push up. You will often want to turn your paper because a lot of times if you try to do it like this, make the other line across, it just won't flow as well. A general rule of thumb is that the more that you can have a stroke coming into your body, the better, the more control you have over the brush. So that's why we turn it for the X and the K in particular. I'm going to start out thick, and then I'm going to go thin as I go through that middle, and then I'm going to go thick again. You ever want to have a thick and a thick line cross? Okay, so I think we got all of the lowercase letters. Now I want to show you something that, because everybody should have like notebook paper at home, right? So one of the good things about notebook paper, I'm going to put some paper underneath it. Yeah, just in case I mess up my desk, is you get these nice automatic lines. So if you wanted to practice doing some words, you could just grab some notebook paper and use the lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to now connect some letters to make words. So let's do meravigliosa, marvelous in Italian, right? Because I like that it has a lot of different letters. So if I'm going to use this as my X height right here, baseline is here. This is my X height, and this is my A sender and B sender. Then I'm going to go like, try to move. It's a little. See, I'm making that connecting stroke each time. Stop for a second to show you that, and also do non-connecting strokes too. Want to, you don't have to connect every single letter. Stop that. Putting those connecting strokes in. Now the O, as it's up here, going to come off of the top. So if I'm adding an S, kind of modifying it. Now this kind of works to come over like this. I don't know if I've spelled it right. Meravigliosa. Yes, I think I did. And I can even do this for eye. I can do a little circular eye instead of a. Okay. So we have our basic, right? Now let's practice a little funking it up. I'm not even going to go to the uppercase tonight. I'm just going to do lowercase because I think letter using mostly lowercase, right? So what if we spread it out? What if we expanded it like this? Still keeping everything at that same baseline. Still even gonna not just kind of extend it a little bit. I'm playing a little bit with it now. Boom. Now we added a little bit more kind of creativity to it by expanding it. Well, let's try something else now. Let's try bouncing it on the baseline down here. There going on. So let's bounce it. So we go like this. Even changing here. Instead of having them go straight across, I'm making one a little bit lower. Let's raise this one up. Okay. So you see with the difference that we've created there. This this baseline is going this. And you can play with that in all different ways. Um, I didn't do like up, down, up, down, up, down. You could try that if you wanted to. So for this little thing that we're doing tonight, um, why don't you just practice the lowercase letters and then get a piece of, uh, this is college ruled, I think, whatever you have on hand. Just something that has lines on it. You could even have graph paper. It doesn't matter. You're not trying for perfection here as far as all those details. You're just trying to play and get a sense of how to form the letters, how to connect the letters, and how to add some variation to the letters. And remember always that you might need to palette your pen. Oops, put it over here. Remember what that's like. So we're turning it one way, the other way. Get the tip sharp again. You might need to squeeze and get more ink to come down into this part of the barrel. When you see it in here, that's good. You don't want it to be gloppy down here. So just get enough where it goes into the see-through part of the barrel there. And that should be a good uh, practice for you. So practice, and then if you would like, you can send me your practice sheets. You can, take a scan them in, take a screenshot, and send them to me, email them to me. And if you would like me to take a look at them and make some suggestions, I'd be happy to do that. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. And that's it for tonight. Putting the pen down. Anyway, good night. It's night for me, 12:30 a.m. on Thursday. Good night, and I will do the uppercase in another recording. Not tonight, but in another recording. Okay, bye-bye.